Ini mulai ya, satu.
To all invited guests and audiences, please have a seat as our agenda will begin momentarily. His Excellency, Professor Dr. Haj Hamid Fahmy Zarkasyi, M.Ed. Amphil, as Rector of University of Darussalam Gontor. The Honorable Dr. Hartami Maulana M.Sc, as Dean of Economics and Management Faculty, University of Darussalam Gontor. The Honorable Professor Dr. Hassanuddeen bin Abdul Aziz, as Dean of Kulliyah of Economics and Management Sciences, IIU, Malaysia. The Honorable Dr. Abul Khair Jalaluddin, as Director of Islamic Financial Service Council of Australia. And respectable all of audiences, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. International Webinar, Faculty of Economics and Management, on the theme Islamic Economics and Management during and post-COVID-19 pandemic, Challenges and Solutions, at University of Darussalam Gontor, Wednesday, 24 of February 2021. First of all, let's praise our God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful, the creator and sustainer of the universe. Peace be upon Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, last messenger of Allah, who has guided human life from the distraction into the right way of Islam. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, for seeking mercy and blessing of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and for the success of our agenda, let's listen to the recitation of the Holy Quran, which will be recited by our brother Khalid Iswari Azmi. He will be reciting the Holy Quran and chapter Al-A'raf, verse 94 to 101. Dear brother, please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa ma arsalna fi qaryatin min nabiyyin illa akhadna أهلها بالبأساء والضراء لعلهم يضرعون ثم بدلنا مكان السيئة الحسنة حتى عفوا وقالوا قد مس آباءنا الضراء والسراء فأخذناهم بغتة وهم لا يشعرون ولو أن أهل القرى آمنوا واتقوا لفتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض ولكن كذبوا فأخذناهم بما كانوا يكسبون أفأمن أهل القرى أن يأتيهم بأسنا بياتا وهم نائمون أوأمن أهل القرى أن يأتيهم بأسنا ضحى وهم يلعبون أفأمنوا مكر الله فلا يأمن مكر الله إلا القوم الخاسرون أولم يهد للذين يرثون الأرض من بعد أهلها أن لو نشاء أصبناهم بذنوبهم ونطبع على قلوبهم فهم لا يسمعون تلك القرى نقص عليك من أنبائها ولقد جاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات فما كانوا ليؤمنوا بما كذبوا من قبل كذلك يطبع الله على قلوب الكافرين صدق الله العظيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Audiences, let's open our today agenda by reciting Al-Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and followed by Hymne of Pondokku. Dear audiences, please rise. all with this minor disease. Ladies and gentlemen, Kulliyah invite Professor Dr. Hamid from Zarkasyi, M.Ed. Ampel, as Rector of University of Darussalam Gontor to give his speech. Father,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min syururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa man yudlilhu fala hadiyalah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, amma ba'du. Ladies and gentlemen, students or lecturer or faculty of economic and management, first we should like to thank God that in this difficult situation of COVID-19 pandemic, we can still have this webinar or festival in regard to the Festival of Faculty of Economic and Management. And in this occasion, I would like to extend my gratitude to the speakers today, Professor Dr. Hassanuddeen Abdul Aziz. I think you are quite familiar with our university because you have visited us here last many years. Yeah. And also to Professor Dr. Khair Jalaluddin, who I think from the Australia. We would like to extend our gratitude for your precious occasion in spending your time to contribute in this festival. This is the festival held by the Faculty of Economic and Management, University of Darussalam Gontor, a private university with the boarding system, and we have this kind of mission of Islamization of contemporary knowledge. And I think economic and management is one of the target for this kind of epistemological process. And of course, I believe the issue in the Islamic economic, there are many to be discussed in many occasions, especially in this festival. And I believe that Islamic economic have the solution for many problems faced by the contemporary economic system. Of course, in this occasion, I would like to invite all the scholars to contribute on this developing this new knowledge, which is as the result of the Islamization of contemporary knowledge. And I believe in the future, the Islamic economic will have a good solution for the problem faced by human being. And I also believe that from the university, the student, the lecturer will have the contribution to develop, to enhance the economic system or the discipline of this new knowledge. And I believe that there will be result because of the contribution of other university. And I think this is only one step to produce some kind of new innovation in economic and management. I hope this festival is not only ceremonial in the form of speech and what we can say, competition or any kind of activities. I hope this will be continuous process in developing the economic system based on Islamic teaching. Thank you very much again. Most welcome to all the speakers. And I congratulate to the Faculty of Economic and Management for this festival and this seminar. Thank you very much for the deans. Thank you very much for the lecturer and all the participants, the student of this university and other students from other university. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Katanya saya.
Ladies and
Nih,
gentlemen,
Nah.
we're going to the step.
Belum
Let's
tidak.
let's enjoy the performance of Malulo dance.
Suruh kakak untuk mundur saat Nona cari yang lain, semoga bahagia. Sejaga baik-baik sampai siang tembus malam. Selepas kopu cinta tusuk pasti dalam-dalam. Sesalah main bukan cinta, salah bermain. Sesalah time bapak minta semuka lain. Serasa lain habis kaget bukan main. Saya bilang lain tapi hasil akhir lain. Nona jangan marah, janji sesu ingkar. Karena percuma saja cinta harus bubar. Saya dayung-dayung tapi ombak besar. Aduh sayang biar satu bikin apa penggelis mahal, kakak main salah, kakak main salah. Papa mama suruh kakak untuk mundur saat Nona cari yang lain, semoga bahagia.
Give applause for the performance. Next, let's welcome our moderator on this happy morning, Mr. Shahruddin M.Ed Fins, and then we leave the event to the moderator.
Thank you very much for Master of Ceremony. Is my voice there? Can be heard for all? Thank you very much for all ladies and gentlemen, the participant of this, the International FEMFEST 4.0 2021. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable our Rector, Professor Dr. Hamid Fahmy Zarkasyi, the new Rector of University of Darussalam Gontor, as well as our distinguished speakers, two distinguished speakers actually we have today in this International FEMFEST 4.0 2021. First, Professor Dr. Hassanuddeen bin Abdul Aziz from Malaysia, and second one, Dr. Abul Khair Jalaluddin, which is from Australia. Thank you for two that invited speaker in this International FEMFEST 4.0 2021. Thank you very much for this very distinguished program also for Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences. Let me introduce myself, Shahruddin, the lecturer of in the Faculty of Economic and Management in the University of Darussalam Gontor, and allow me to moderate this agenda, with the Professor Hassanuddin as well as Dr. Abdul Khair Jalaluddin from Australia. Thank you very much for your coming and for your time. For us here in Indonesia, East Java, Ponorogo, as well as our participant which came from the old nation in Indonesia, first from Papua, Sorong. Assalamualaikum, welcome. And Kalimantan, East Kalimantan, Sumatra Island, as well as Sulawesi and Java Island. Thank you very much again for this participation to this international conference with two very honorable speakers. We brought you from Malaysia as well as from Australia. Now let me introduce for our two distinguished speakers. For the first speakers, will come from Malaysia, Prof. Hassanuddeen bin Abdul Aziz. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Hassanuddin. Can you hear my voice?
Waalaikumsalam, Brother Shahruddin.
Allah. Prof. Hassanuddin, for all participants, he is a professor and currently the dean of the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences in the International Islamic University, Malaysia, and also director of Graduate School of Management, IIUM. He was also a former dean of Center for Postgraduate from 2009 to 2012. He was also the dean of Postgraduate Studies and a member of National Council of Postgraduate Studies. He also writes and conducts workshops in the areas of financial management, Islamic finance, and the quality management. And also our professor here, Prof. Hassanuddin bin Abdul Aziz, with all his work, international work and also national work, we can know him as the expert in finance, as well as he was experienced in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, Prof?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So we can take many advantage from his experience in Saudi as well as in Malaysia in worldwide activities. And the second speaker Dr. Abdul Khair Jalaluddin. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Abdul Khair. Can you hear my voice? Yeah, I will introduce our second speaker. Dr. Abdul Khair Jalaluddin is currently a director of the Islamic Financial Services Council of Australia, IFSCA, and a former director of MCCA, Islamic Finance and Investment in the Australia. He received his PhD in Financial Economics from the University of Wollongong in 2000, double master in New South Wales, Australia, and in IUM Malaysia, as well as he take his degree in Malaysia. He also has published papers on economics and finance in scholarly journals, including the Economic Papers, the Middle East Business and Economic Review, and Indonesian Management and Accounting Research Journal. He authored 2 books, Attitude of Australian Small Businesses and Financial Institutions Toward Profit or Loss Sharing Methods of Finance, and Rule of Government in an Islamic Economic. Dr. Abdul Khair Jalaluddin also regularly contributes scholarly articles to Australasian Muslim Times or AMOS and other newspapers. Thank you very much for your coming, Prof. Hassanuddin and Prof. Abdul Khair Jalaluddin. Okay, I will moderate for this agenda. I'll inform for both speakers. Yeah, you have 45 minutes to present, and the first will be Prof. Hassanuddin, and the second for Dr. Abdul Khair, also 45 minutes. So after your presentations, there will be Q&A sessions. Yeah, we will also took 45 minutes, inshallah. So this agenda will end, inshallah, in 11:30 Indonesian time in the West. Thank you very much. And the first occasion will be given to Professor Hassanuddin. Are you ready, Prof?
Yes, yes. I will be sharing the slides.
Okay, thank you.
Start now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Brother Shahrud. Okay. Brother Shahrudin, my longtime friend, and I know him since his study time in IIUM. Very nice to see you.
Thank you, Prof.
And management, and I should congratulate you during this trying time. FEMFEST 4.0, UNIDA, Gontor, and all the brothers, sisters, and my panel member. Assalamualaikum. So I miss this very much. The whole of last year, because of COVID, there was no traveling. So many things. But Alhamdulillah, we still continue to establish this Rahim through webinar, and still we share our inputs, our thoughts to the business and management strategies to prevent economic recession from pandemic. Let me start off by telling that the pandemic, which has been called COVID-19 is COVID-19 is a communicable disease that spreads quickly across countries, and the associated, because of the COVID, what it is impact on the economic costs and the consequences of the needed containment measures for the pandemic. So I was cases with 2.48 million deaths. So a single death is already a big calamity. What more with 2.4 million throughout the world, as what has been recorded. In the US itself, more than 500,000. Indonesia has got 35,000 over death. Malaysia has got 1,000 over 36 deaths. So we cannot take it lightly, because this is not the ordinary kind of effect on the economy. So when we see what actually happened, what does that mean? The containment measures which have halted majority of business activities and caused worldwide standstill. Because this is not targeted into a single macroeconomic variables or macroeconomic factors or physical or monetary issues, but this is a health issue. So it affects every bit of the economic activities, and the containment of this is that are restrictions in travel, in shuttering of non-essential businesses, implementing universal physical distancing policies, etc. So the movement control ordinance, the thing which we can see since today is February 24, the first MCO clampdown in the case of Malaysia, and most of the countries was in March last year, 2020. So it has been more than like 336 days. So it has been a 1 year of containment measures. That means the normal practices of whatever we have taken to be something which we assume that is the normal thing which cannot be done. So this when the first movement control ordinance, jobs was most of them, the jobs was still there. You know, that was in the first. That means in March we were having a 2 weeks shutdown. So we were still having savings, personal savings were still there, and loans, there was a moratorium of loans. That means those who have taken mortgages, hire purchases, car loan, the banks gave us a relief of 6 months in the case of Malaysia, and also in many parts of the world. And there were also government cash handouts, which was given because most of the people are told to stay at home. They are more or less like a curfew. There is no economic activity whatsoever. We were able to see only the riders, the Grab riders, the object, and so on and so forth, delivery. But the roads, the manufacturing plants, the shops, the entire economic activity was at a standstill. And then continuing with the second MCO, you know, the stores and they open up after. We thought it was just for 2 weeks, the MCO, but it extended to another 2 weeks, becomes 1 month, another extension, and we were clamped down for at least 3 months in last year. So basically, in that quarter, the entire economic activity was at a standstill, because at that time this was something new, and we thought it will just go away, but it did not. So stores and restaurants and shuttering some is for good. That means you can see most of the shops in the downtown Kuala Lumpur, and I'm so sure in Indonesia too, there were many which have already closed down for good, meaning to say they have been facing working capital problems and therefore they cannot continue to operate. Demand for goods and services for sure has declined. We do not need new clothes, or we can have the most expensive shoes and the best suit, but we are told to work from home. So what is there for us to dress up, to go for the office? Definitely, this have got an impact on the retail business. And also, the car needs less fuel because there is no need for us because there is a total clampdown, a curfew, asking us to stay. So cars, less fuel, maintenance, so that also affected all those petrol stations, all those shop spare parts and so on and so forth affected. Visit to a hairdresser also there is unnecessary because there was also a clampdown. There is no need to groom. There is no need for cosmetic products because we are staying at home. There is no dining out. No meeting for drinks. In Malaysia normally and also in Jakarta when I'm there, Zarkasyi will tell us go for the drink, teh tarik. But now the teh tarik is not possible. So just imagine what actually happened to the economy of the world. There is no flying. The borders are closed. Once the borders are closed, neither can we go out as tourists. So the travel agency was a total shutdown. And you can see like a lot of countries like in Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, we are dependent upon tourist income. And we saw there was a drastic decline. So what actually happened? Then all these businesses was already at a standstill, and some of them have been closed down. Then we have been told to stay at home. So consumer spending become less, working through to have investment. But when the investment is less, then what actually happened, that job creation became affected. And then because of the retail businesses, they do not have the working capital, how to pay the rental, how to pay even their wages for their workers there. And this affected the offerings of safety nets. The safety nets, that means the need to provide essential to those who have not are being affected too. So, what is it going to do to the economy? So, for sure, with all these restrictions, the economy of the world has gone into recession. So when we say it is recession, what does the world 2020 has been having worldwide negative 4.36%, 17.6%, and also same also in Indonesia, it was a negative, and therefore in the third quarter there was a slight improvement because the economy was let to be open. it was a conditional CMCO, so there was some activities. Therefore, with these activities, they were able to improve the growth, but it is still negative. It is a negative growth rate, and therefore, officially, Malaysia went into recession, and Indonesia, after 22 years, this was the first time they went into recession. 22 years. That was what is being reported by the BBC, and that officially Malaysia, Indonesia, and most of the countries are in recession. So when we look at the recession, the thing here is basically in the economic trend or economic system which we are in, the capitalist system, the recession is part and parcel because of the cyclical cycles which we go through. During a boom, and then it will be a recession, and then it will pick up again when the economy heated up, and so on and so forth. But in this case, in our context, this recession which we came into is because of the health reasons which we were not able to open up the economy, and therefore the recession comes in. So now, if we look at the recession, after the recession, what should come about is the recovery and the possible trends of growth. If we see, we want it to be the V shape. The V shape is there will be a decline, and after a quarter or two, and there will be an uprise. So means growth becomes positive again. Or if it is a U shape, the decline, the recession will take some time, and then it will go back to the positive growth. In the case of W, that is a double dip, meaning to say, like in Malaysia, for example, in 2020, in the third quarter, there was some opening up, and in the fourth quarter, there was some still negative, but we thought that in the month of January, there was a peak. But due to a mismanagement of the system, whereby we allowed an election to be held in a state, and then the thing went and pick up again. So we were worried that it might go down again into a recession. But the question which the authorities need to face is whether lives or livelihood. If lives, that means total clamp down again, total shutdown. But this has affected the economy very much. Billions of the ringgit was lost on one day shutdown. Therefore, the livelihood issue becomes an important issue. So they have to balance it. So now we are still in MCO. Today, this is the second wave MCO. We are still shut down. And then the other thing is the recession can go into the L shape, meaning to say the suffering will be a longer period, which nobody wants to be in that situation. So the thing here is, as of now, we are still in the recession phase. Therefore, from the topic which has been given to me, the economy, because of the pandemic, has gone into a recession due to the shutting down of the economic activities of most of within the country and also without the country. So the supply chains is also affected. It is not only one country facing this issue, but the whole world is facing this issue. Therefore, and we are interdependency, all right, interdependency between countries. Some of the exports which we have, the value added, these are value added, which are coming from other countries where we add value and then we export. So when all this is affected, definitely this will get into a kind of situation where we have to see to it that we can manage it accordingly, and to make sure that the livelihood of the people are not that affected too much. But definitely, middle income people has fallen into lower middle income. Lower income people has fallen into poverty, and the poverty would have already rise. Because if you cannot put a bowl of put food on your table, definitely this is some serious consequences. Government is giving out handouts, but still the economy is in a situation where it is not something which we can imagine. Maybe in the 18th century, in the 17th century, how issue was a problem. There was a plague, there's a black plague, and so on and so forth. But this is the first time we are experiencing on the health issues. So let us, if you see the historical report, I just want to make my presentation to be contemporary and relevant to see where we are before we go into what are the solutions which we can see. So if you see the historical records of the real GDP growth of countries throughout 1990s to 2020, one would find more or less the major ones, okay, experienced were the three periods of economic contraction prior to the COVID-19 recession. So when we see the three, in the case of Malaysia, Indonesia, the one which we should remember and we know how it affected us was the Asian financial crisis. The Asian financial crisis of 1997 to 1999. This Asian financial crisis is targeted. We know what went wrong. We know how to settle this. There was the impact was at a macro level, but it is not to the extent where we have to total shut down. We need to have a curfew because it is something which we know have happened due to our forex exchange, due to misalignment of macroeconomic variables. Therefore, international speculators, they came and attacked our currencies, and this have led to the currency to be depreciated, and continuous depreciation of our currency. And if we have taken loan in foreign denomination like US dollar, and if the US dollar becomes so very expensive because of the depreciation of our own currencies, therefore this led to a total problem and a recession at that point of time.
Right.
But the problem at that point of time, the recovery was a V shape. That means it was a dip and we came out very fast. Even though Indonesia and other countries like South Korea took a different path to solve that problem, whereby Malaysia, we went with the capital control, and therefore we came out in a way that we didn't change that much in the fundamental structure of the economy. But we were able to identify and get this thing through. But and then the second, but you need to understand there were other crises, but these are hiccups which are not that very serious. But the Asian financial crisis is a lot of lessons to be learned. It's an opening of our eyes, and because of the structural changes which we implemented at that point of time, today, even though with this COVID, we do not have to face the problem of the structural issues. We are facing the problem of the health issues. The structural issues that are throughout the world are facing some issues, but it is not a fundamental structural issue, a problem, but it is a different problem. So the things which we fixed at that point of time, whereby we were at that point of time, our account deficit, our exports were less than our imports, and also there was an overheating of the economy, meaning to say we were doing more than what the earth can withstand. So we were not taking seriously about the needs to be balanced. All right, and this is why, because that time, and also during 1990s, the whole economy was based upon greed and fear, and greed and fear led to total destruction of our fundamentals and what we need to do. And the second thing which we also went into depression was the dot-com bubble in 2000, 2002. This is the tech startups and so on and so forth. We were having a lot of confidence that this is going to change the world, and we were the share prices of these dot-com companies were way beyond what we can imagine. And there was a bubble burst on this dot-com, and it affected the stock market and so on. So he still can identify where was the problem. And then that time also it was a recovery. And the other big thing is the global financial crisis. This global financial crisis of 2007-2009, it is that this crisis is made in America. It's not the problem of us, but it was made in America because of the greed of the American financial system, whereby they have lent funds to those who they should not have lent out to. And then from these mortgages, they went and securitized these mortgages. And then they passed this on as investment to investment bankers, to other throughout the region, throughout the world, to keep it as an investment. And therefore, their return will be based upon the mortgages which was given in the US. And when they pay their interest, these are the income to them. But we know these are not bankable clients. Therefore, when they fail to pay, the whole thing collapsed. And that brought about a problem, not only in the United States, because of the interdependency of the economy. It affected all the whole world. And then it affected the real economy, and it affected us. And there was a drop in growth. But we were able to come out of this growth. The problem is still a V-shaped kind of problem. So with this crisis, and then as I mentioned, I have already mentioned this, when we call a recession means 2 quarters of contraction. So we were not able to come out in 2020 from the contractions, but the impact of the contraction was less compared to the second quarter, but still third quarter was still negative, therefore it is a recession. And then when we see the consumer sentiment index, the other very important thing here is the confidence, because in economics, it is based upon positive expectation. When you are having a positive expectation, then you will have the confidence to spend. So this consumer sentiment index is also a very important indicator. As we have seen that in the second quarter, was 51.1, in the third quarter, 19.1, and the fourth quarter, that means there was an improvement because there was an opening up of the economy, but the containment being gradually relaxed along with the reopening of commercial activities. But then in the case of Malaysia, the second lockdown of MCO suddenly affected the whole system again. These are issues and the problems which we were facing. So besides that, other trackings which we are also following in the terms of the economic tracking is increased volume and value of property transactions. The drop in unemployment rate. So if unemployment rate, that means if the economy is not going up, new industries are not coming in, investments are not flowing in, foreign investments are not coming in, that means there is no possibility of job creation. And in Malaysia, for example, with the graduates coming out last year, even in 2019, there was already a problem to provide jobs for this group of people. What more, with the economy is in this position, there will be more graduate unemployment because the economy is not open up, and there will be many people who are taking a lot of precautions because the post-COVID economy will not be as what it is today. There will be a drastic change in the post-COVID economy. That one which I will mention to you, that the fourth industrial revolution, the e-commerce, the e-marketing, you can see with this COVID going on, you see who are those on the road. They are the delivery. The deliveries are still on. The Shoppees, the Lazada, this is high tech, Amazon, the people which are already invested in these platforms, whereby the marketing, the consumption of the people have been shifted from direct intervention through the platform intervention. So in a way, those companies which can improve their position to provide all these facilities and gadgets, you like it or not, you have to adopt it. If not, you will be left behind. There is no physical contact. People cannot come to you. There is no such thing until and unless there is an assurance that the contention, the infection is being controlled. If people will not be confidently walking around the mall, you can see all the malls are being closed and a lot of issues and a lot of problems. So and the other thing which we need to emphasize is also the interdependency of world economy. Makes it such that the recovery of each country depends on how well other countries do in avoiding the prospect of an extended downturn. You cannot just say that we are okay and we want to open up. Most of the world economy is not self-subsistent. They are engaged with other countries. They are imports and exports, and then the migration of people. There are a lot of huge number of people from other countries who are working in our countries. Now everybody is jammed out. And these are things which we have to take into account, that we are no more living alone. The interdependency of the world economy, meaning to say human factors are also interdependent. There are a lot of relationships which are still not being able to come back home. A lot of students, for example, they are still doing online, and this online schools are online. But it's okay if you are in the urban area. But what if you are in the rural area? How are you going to make sure that there is an equality of access to education for all? We cannot leave anybody behind. But there is no assurance, because during the good times, did we invested in all these gadgets? Did we thought that this can happen? Nobody thought this can happen. Therefore, how prepared we are, we can see how much flip-flops in decision-making by the policymakers as well as the implementers. These are cases which we should have thought through and we should have with us in our planning. The other thing which is very important to emphasize in recovery mode in the economic terms is the private sector, especially the SMEs. The SMEs is the backbone of the economy, but most of the SMEs today are not operating. Why? The failure of employers to provide proper housing for the employees. You can see even in Singapore, in Malaysia, there is a very high percentage of these foreign employees not being housed in a proper condition, and these have led to more problems. And it is very unbecoming because of the greed of the employers, because of the capitalism system which we have, make it such that they will only think of the dollars and cents which they can make at the expense of lowering costs, at the expense of lowering wages, and at the expense of not even taking care of the health of their employees, especially the foreign employees in the respective countries. So the SMEs, as I mentioned, is the backbone of the country's economy, accounting for majority of employment and job creation. Should be allowed access. So what we should do is we should allow access more and cheaper credit. The bank should be giving them more leeway. Create jobs with a little high income, which will bring about higher consumption. So in the beginning, in Malaysia, for example, the banks has given moratorium to a lot of bank business loans and so on and so forth. That was a respite, because, and also the government has provided some form of wage subsidy. Therefore, there was not that much of an unemployment. But when the problem didn't solve, they cannot continuously be subsidizing because they do not have any earnings coming in. They were using all their savings and so on and so forth. So this is the time, the challenging times, and the things which we have to be very careful. So now coming to the question of Islamic business and management, could they be in the position to prevent or to have to prevent the economic recession? So if we look at all right, so let me just say that, we Islamic economists, as what has been mentioned by the Rector, Islamic business, Islamic management, we were not in the forefront of doing what we should be doing. If we have taken our religion seriously, our religion is not only for ritual, it's the way of life. But did we incorporate all those things which was taught to us by the Prophet in our running of businesses? We were not that very serious, because we were still not in the mainstream. We were still in the peripheral, we will still having the fear that we might lose out, and we just adopted and followed the capitalist system. So when we saw that this system in this COVID period have shown that there was a total breakdown. When you see that they are not able to provide employment, they are not able to provide the necessary support mechanism, people are dying. It seems they are very developed. How developed are they when their own country in the US, more than 500 people are dying? So if you look at what is a successful company, we should pay equal attention to staff, suppliers, customers, and society. It is the whole spectrum, the stakeholders. But the capitalist system is always emphasizing on the shareholders' wealth. They will emphasize to how to enrich the owners of the company. And when they move out to multinational corporation to other parts of the world, they will still emphasizing the need to enrich the shareholders, not the stakeholders. At the same time, they did not even also take into account the natural heritage, the ecology of the country. That was not even given any thoughts to make sure that they are based upon balance, seimbang, which didn't happen. So when you see a successful company, we need to understand that okay, I just want to see the thing. All right, when we see about customers, about staff, customers are very important. Customers, we have to make customers happy, delighting customer satisfaction is important, quality relationship is important. But in the capitalist system, are we taking care of the customers and meeting their needs in a very honest manner, serving the customer better than anyone else, not just beating their competition, insist on their right? And then suppliers. Suppliers should be considered as partners, sharing, closer link, and so on and so forth. But sometimes every one of them are working in their silo. Every one of them are in a position that to make the best out of it. So when an employee, for example, we have to make sure the communication are open to the workforce. Are we doing that? Or are we treating them as another raw material as much as possible to reduce the cost? And the most important thing which we have been shown during this COVID is the lack of taking into account the society, the planet, the society. So pandemic has shown that business is not a private matter. Every act of business has social consequences and many arose public interest. Ethical and spiritual consideration can be intrinsic to running a successful business. So when we see what actually we are facing today, the pandemic has shown that the business which we were doing, which was at the expense of the betterment of the ecology, the ecological, that is the alam. So we didn't take care, the consequences of what we were doing. When there is pollution, for example, this was not accounted for. It was just released to the air. The rivers are polluted. So, and this has brought about a lot of issues and problems. As I mentioned, Islamic business and management could have prevented this pandemic or could have lessened the impact of this pandemic. Why? Because when you see at the salient features of Islamic business, first and foremost, they are riba-free, meaning to say it is trading. It's not on funds, not on finance, not on banking. Because when you get credit from the banks, this is credit for money, on money, not trading. But Islam has encouraged trading. But we are more towards this banking sector. And even Islamic banking, in a way, should have gone more into the trading aspect rather than into the funding or into the funding aspect. So, and then the other thing here is Islamic businesses would have been in real economic activities. There were not necessarily what actually has happened today. the financialization of the international monetary system has brought about that more emphasis has been given into the finance part rather than the real economy. Why? Because US dollar as the international reserve currency, they are not a responsible country. This country, at one time, they were having surplus. They were able to do what they did in the Marshall Plan and so on and so forth. But today, they are a deficit country. They owe the whole world. But because of their political power, they still are to be able to go on and to do what they are doing. Therefore, the US dollar is continuously being focused as a medium of exchange, will lead to more and more volatility and more crisis in the world. Besides that thing which we are facing this COVID, we are not blaming them, but the thing here is, in one way or another, it might have been the cause of whatever we are going through today. And then it's gara free. That means there is not much uncertainty. The derivative market of the West has been in such a manner that it is much more huge than the real market. And this derivative market is a hedging of something which we don't even know. Assets creation. And the global financial crisis, or the US, Make in the US in 2008, shows us clearly of what actually has happened and how these hedging industries and have gone into deep trouble because they went and hedged or given insurance to things which they are very speculative in nature. And then there are also no trading investment in prohibited commodities like liquor. For why there are certain good things why this should not be emphasized. The liquor industry, for example, or the cigarette industry, for example. These are huge. Yeah, moderator, I know. A few more minutes, I'm going to finish. Main contractual relations no longer, because I started late by 5 minutes, I think. Main contractual relationship no longer lender-borrower. Therefore, you see, if this trading, leasing, or partnership and trade or a profit loan sharing vis-a-vis premium interest, today we will not be having to face the problem of bank going after all these businesses. It will be win-win for both. It is risk sharing rather than risk shifting from a borrower to a lender. But these things didn't happen. Therefore, we are facing this problem. If the Islamic businesses have adopted what has been commanded by us, by our religion, we will not be having this problem. And the other thing, very important thing with the Islamic management, principles of management, the taqwa, the ihsan, the adil, justice, the amanah, trust, siddiq, ikhlas, surah, all this you can see is absent in the current present system, where therefore we are facing this problem. In the current system of capitalism, businesses and management is based upon greed and fear. And this is what have driven a lot of us to have shortcomings and to have been going around doing things which will ultimately be detrimental to what we are facing today. So we need to understand that today's pandemic is not something just happened. This pandemic is because the failure for us to take into account the ecology of the planet. This disconnect between economies and ecology. Criticism in the use of gross domestic product, GDP, measures production and human capital, but not natural capital. Therefore, pollution, they didn't cost it in that at the expense of the destruction to the planet. Measure of human progress at a great cost to nature, plundering the earth like there is no end to it. And this biodiversity, climate change, and so on and so forth. And the pandemic we are facing is also part and parcel of it. So in conclusion, this pandemic has led to the acceleration. That is also something positive to it. The acceleration of e-commerce, the technology adoption, acceptance among businesses and customers. Businesses have to digitalize at a faster pace. So this has also given some opportunities for us. And there are also certain companies which have grabbed the opportunity because of the pandemic. And in conclusion, we should instill the beautiful values, norms, teachings of our religion in all that we do in our businesses and management, which can easily be recession-proof, and we would have been flying. Rather than we are in the peripheral, we should be in the main driver's seat. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to participate in this FEMFEST of UNIDA Gontor. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Sorry for the extra 5 minutes.
No, this is very good management of presentation, Prof. Alhamdulillah, for all participants, we can take some notes, Prof, from your presentation. I think that's very interesting presentation. You touched very much point of this preventing the pandemic, how actually we can do as an individual as well as a company, for example, as you present before. So first, we can take many issues and problems that we are facing today due to pandemic COVID-19. Yeah, first of all, you emphasize on the containment measurement, which can lead into the recession. Yeah, we know from your presentation, Malaysia said in the MCO, really, Prof, movement control order, which can the second wave, as also some notes from your presentation like UPWL shapes, which trends of growth in the economy, as well as whole world is facing the hindrance and problem of this COVID-19. I read down here also the consumer sentiment index. Yeah, you present that in your presentation, the interdependency of world economy. And another point, I think, you suggest the successful company, who actually the successful company in this pandemic area, which is pay attention or equal attention to stakeholders, Prof. Yeah, not only to the shareholders in the capitalism system, for example, which this equal attention, yeah, should be given to the staff, supplier, customer, as well as the society. And this we can learn more from you, Prof. Thank you very much again. And for second speaker, can I heard your voice, Dr. Abul Khair? Assalamualaikum, Dr. Abdul Khair from Australia. Yeah, Dr. Abdul Khair.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, very
Hello?
clear voice. Thank
Can you
very
hear me?
much.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yep.
Thank you very
I'm
much
here.
for your time.
All
Please,
right.
you can start your presentation, Prof. Abul Khair.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Mr. Moderator, respected Prof. Hassanuddeen, and my very dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. And just few words, Prof. Hassanuddeen, you may not remember me. I'm a graduate of your faculty long time ago, 1990, and then I was also so I'm sure there are many other alumni, brothers and sisters from the International Islamic University, Malaysia, as well as MES. It is very nice to talk to you this afternoon. So turning back to my presentation, the topic of my presentation is the role of discuss the economic and financial impacts of COVID-19 in Australia, Australian economic response to pandemic, a glimpse of the Australian Islamic financial services industry, available Islamic financials. I will conclude with some concluding remarks and some policy recommendation. Just look at the economic and financial impacts we had in Australia. In 3 decades, almost in 3 decades, because the last recession we had, March 2020 and June 2020 quarters. If you look at the statistics, you'll find that in June 2020, we had a negative growth of 7%. If you compare that to the closest negative growth we had in the past, that will in June 1974. As for March quarter, we had a negative growth of 0.3%. So if you just compare the enormity of this recession, which is last recession we had in quarter of 1991, we had a negative growth of 1.3%. In June of 1991 quarter, we had a negative growth of minus 0.1%. But in 2020, in June quarter, look at our economic outcome in June 2020, the impacts on various sectors of the Australian economy were high. I will give you a bit of example on that. Just few of the sectors of this decline would be over 60%. Arts and recreation went down 23%. Because there was nothing for arts and recreation out in the economy. Transportation went down 22% because people were working from home. And other business services such as real estate, they went down 19%. Wholesale and retail trade went down 14%. People were buying only the essentials and groceries. Nobody went for shopping for white goods or furniture or clothing. So that's why there was a decline of 14%. Manufacturing, 10%. Construction, 9%. Australian construction sector is still problematic. We have to watch that because still it is not picking up. Healthcare went down 8%. You might ask, Australian hospitals were full with COVID-19 patients. But why impact is just 8%? Because over majority of Australians, they did not go for their normal health checks. That's why it is still, although hospitals and every doctors were busy, but still the sector as a whole, it went down. Just also want to tell you about what happened to wages, household expenditure, and the rate of savings in this recession, which is very, very insightful as well as very interesting. Wages went back 2.5%. In the last 6 to 7 years, Australian wages are stagnant, but this impact was enormous. Household expenditure went down 12.1% in June 2020 quarter. 60% of the Australian economic growth come from domestic economy. And in the domestic economy, one of the largest items is household expenditure, and that expenditure went back 12%. Private savings, and this is the good news story from this recession in Australia. This is a 50-year high. We did not have 20% increase in private savings in the last 50 years. Normally in Australia, private savings rate is 7. There are two main reasons. Number one, in fact, there was no opportunity to spend, were closed down. There was no tourism, because in this country, tourism is a big spender. There was no international tourism. There was no domestic tourism. So that's why there was no opportunity to spend. And the second thing was, the Australians are prudent people. They understand that this is a difficult time and harder time might be coming. That's why they were prudent and spent less. I just want to, for completion, I just want to compare the Australian performance with the world performance. Australian recession with other developed countries recession in June. Australia had only 7% in June 2020. UK had a negative growth of 21%. French, negative growth of 19%. Italy, a negative growth of 17%. Europe as a whole had a negative growth of 15%, 7% in the same period, which is June 2020. So you can see the Australian economy performed much better. Why? Could be two reasons. Number one, Australia had a better management of COVID-19 and health issues. The lockdown was, but it saved the Australian economy from a longer sufferings and bad economic conditions. And the other thing was targeted economic response. And that was a large contribution of Australia, was not suffered as much as other developed nations. Just now, look at the Australian economic response to COVID-19 pandemic. Australian federal government provided stimulus packages for workers, households, and businesses. And these individuals affected industries, regions, and more importantly, it made sure that there is a continued flow of credit to the Australian economy. I just want to give you very few examples of these packages so that you can understand pandemic. The first one was job scheme. Basically, under this scheme, government paid the salaries of employees of various companies by a business with an annual revenue of less than, and that company's turnover went down 30% due to COVID-19 compared to last year. Then government will pay the salaries. The same thing will happen if the company had annual turnover of over 1 billion, but kept Australians in employment, in jobs, and that created demand and economy was going. The second example quickly I want to give you is the job seeker scheme. This is a scheme for unemployed people. The unemployed people, they used to get 550 a fortnight. Government doubled it to 1,100 for the same reason. Put money in people's hands, especially the group of the people where the propensity to consumption is high, and that's why government gave the government has doubled the contribution. The third one I want to share with you is the cash flow boost for employers. Basically, all the companies with an annual turnover of less than 50 million, government gave cash between 20,000 to 100,000 to help them in their business in their businesses. And the next one is the instant asset write-off for taxation. So the companies with a annual turnover of less than 500 million could instantly write off their asset worth up to 150,000 Australian dollars. And that helped a lot of companies so that they could keep on producing, keep on doing things. And this measure alone helped 3.5 million businesses, and 3.5 million businesses accounted for 99% of all Australian businesses. And these businesses employed almost 10 million Australians. So that helped a lot on that. The next one was the support for apprentices and trainees. Eligible businesses could, the slide before that, please, the slide, not this one, the slide before that. The eligible businesses could employ a trainee, and this trainee could claim 50% of the salary from the government. And government has a large support for regional Australia, because in the regional Australia, there are companies, they are dependent on tourism, and government provided large packages for their survival. And the next one I want to share with you is the lump sum payments of $750. And there were two payments to all people who receive government assistance and other people who are carers and so on. And these two lots of payment, one was in June quarter, another was September quarter, helped people a lot. And there were also early release of superannuation. If you are difficulty because of COVID-19, you can withdraw your retirement money. Superannuation in this country is retirement, like in Malaysia it's called EPF. And there were two lots of people who could withdraw 10,000 each, in total 20,000 in 2 quarters. And there were initiatives from the Reserve Bank of Australia, initially 90 billion, and later on another 120 billion. This money Reserve Bank lent to banks on the proviso that these banks will lend this money to small businesses at the rate of 0.25%. It's just like a free money that helped it a lot. Last but not least, that helped Australians in this recession was a reduced social security deeming rates. What it says is this rate is, it deems return on your financial assets like shares, managed investment, and so on. And if this rate is less, then you get better and more assistance from the government. Just to move to the next phase of my presentation, which is Islamic financial matters, and just want to tell you a bit on Australian Islamic financial services industry. There are around 10 Islamic financial services entity in this country. Some of them are very small, and these entities provide various financial services and investment products. And I'm not going to spend much time on this because you know all these things. I just want to mention that the products available are Islamic home loans, Islamic superannuation. As I said, superannuation is a retirement savings measure. And in Australia, that is managed in the private sector. Other countries, I'm not sure about Indonesia. In Malaysia, it is managed in the government sector. And because it is in the private sector, the Islamic financial services companies, they can offer this product to the people. Then we have income fund, which is unit trust. We have property trust is doing very well. You know, you invest in this and they develop properties and sell, some of them returning 15 to 20%. We have units in friendly societies, and these are cooperatives. In Australia, Islamic finance started with what they call friendly societies at law in this country, which is a corporate together, 20, 30 people, and save money in a bank. And when enough money was available, then there is one person which to buy a house, and they will take the turn, next person will do that. That is how Islamic cash investment, high wealth investments. There are companies that have a financial planner. If you are a high wealth individual, you can go to them. Their financial planners will sit down with you and propose some investment options for your wealth and create wealth from your existing wealth. And definitely we have products on Australian shares, the Australian Sharia compliant shares, and also international Sharia compliant shares. Just to move to the availability of Islamic financial services to address the impact of COVID-19. In Australia, Islamic finance companies, they offer products mainly around home loans, superannuation, and investment. So you can see that these are not specific to addressing the pandemic, because when you are in a pandemic, home loan, superannuation, and investment they're not going to help you much. In the pandemic, many Muslim small businesses came to us and spoke to us what they need. In fact, they need Sharia compliant business loans or like equipment financing based on Sharia. These things would help them. But unfortunately, in Australian Islamic finance market, we don't have those products. I think we can develop them easily. Sharia compliant business loans could be developed based on lease to purchase or financial lease basis, or some form of partnership, mudaraba, and so on those bases. Similarly, equipment financing can be designed based on this lease financing as well as some form of partnerships. We know that there are other Islamic philanthropic products such as zakah, sadaqah, and so on, and other form of philanthropic instruments in Islamic religion, in our religion. But the thing is, in this country, the application of these instruments are very limited. So just to conclude, I just want to make some remarks as well as some policy recommendation for the maybe Australian Islamic financial services industry. The first thing is the COVID-19 induced the worst recession and economic conditions in Australia, and it was worse since the world recession in 1930s. After that, we did not have a hard economic condition in June and March 2020 quarter because of government's stimulus packages and because of government policies. Australian economy was out of recession in the September 2020 quarter. And now Australian economy is growing, although not at the pace of the previous two June and March quarter 2020, but economy is growing, and we do not think that Australian economy will go back to recession because of said that Australian economic response to the pandemic was swift, substantial, and targeted, and that is why we could reap this benefit. And I hope Australia continues to reaping these economic benefits from these good economic policies and packages. Australian Islamic financial services industry is an emerging market. I mean, a lot of hope in this. The market is coming up, and it will be a fantastic wealth creator for all Australians. I make a recommendation to the Australian financial services industry to expand the product offerings. They should include Sharia compliant business loans and equipment financing. And we know that Australia achieved and regulatory framework. With this, I'm sure Australia would continue to be able to caution with this. I thank you very much for listening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Look forward to any discussion, any question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abul Khair from Australia. Really, really good presentation and nice, good time management for presentation. Alhamdulillah, I think two distinguished speakers has been.
To make a point, sorry, I'm not a professor. I think
Yeah, Dr. Abul Khair, thank you. Alhamdulillah, Prof. Hassan is on the stage with us now. Thank you again for very, very distinguished and respectable speakers. Alhamdulillah, we have any questions from the floor. Alhamdulillah, first, I think I would give to Prof. Hassanuddin. Prof, Assalamualaikum, Prof. Prof. Hassanuddin.
Yes, Waalaikumsalam. No, my staff came in. Okay. Yeah, Prof. Dr.
Okay.
Abdul. Yeah, Abul. Yeah, I remember you were around in the old campus.
Oh, mashallah. This is like
Yes, Hassanuddin.
you are a reunion, Prof. And Dr. Abul.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Prof, from the floor, we get one, two, three, I think. The question for Prof. Hassanuddin. First from Abdul Aziz. Hello? Prof. Hassan, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. First
Yes,
question,
yes.
how to pay equal
Yes.
attention to stakeholders, Prof?
Can you hear
If they
me?
have different and perspective. Okay, could you respond for one by one questions or all questions facing for you, Prof?
Answer the question.
Hello?
You want to ask all the question or you want
Hello, Prof.
you
Maybe
can
some
hear
hello.
me?
Yeah, but it is so slowly.
Can you hear me now?
Hello, Prof. Can you hear me? Yeah, your voice is quite not clear. Here.
My technician kata everything okay. Can you hear me now? Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Nanti ada ini nggak isinya? Isinya iya.
Boleh dengar.
Ya.
Hello.
Oleh seorang rektor.
Yeah, we can hear, but it's so slowly, Prof.
Okay. The question is how to pay equal attention to the stakeholders. Okay.
Hello. Dr. Abul, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Your voice is very clear from Australia to Gontor.
You can see me. Yeah, go for Abul go first.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Prof. Hassanuddin. Maybe we turn to Dr. Abul respond for the question from the floor. Okay. Yeah, there is a question, Dr. Abul. The question from Dr. Dewi Nusrani. Yeah. Maybe Dr. Dewi, can you directly face your question to Dr. Abul? Yeah. Maybe the committee can give Dr. Dewi. Yeah. Welcome, Dr. Dewi. You can face directly the question to Dr. Abul.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, the moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah. All right, I'm glad to be here in the festival because all the speakers are amazing. Abul Khair is
I can't hear anything.
Economic country.
Oh, Dr. Dewi, yeah. Can you repeat your question?
Can you hear me? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, yeah, all right, Dr. Khair, it's nice to meet you here. Yeah, I know that now the Australian is one of the biggest economies in the world, and how many the percents of Australian products now with halal certified in Australia? Thank you, Dr. Khair.
I did not hear the question properly. I can't make sense of it because I did not hear properly. Brother moderator, can you repeat this? I think yours is clear.
Okay, yeah. The question from Dr. Dewi is, I think about the halal, how many percent of Australians product with halal certified, Dr. Abul? Dr. Abul.
When you say product, I'm also in various type of products. We have financial products, we have food products, we have cosmetic products, including some of the companies we are certified exporting from Australia to Indonesia meat. There will come some of those companies, they will certify that properly regulated by the government. It just regulated by, so to speak, like us, like companies. They
Dr. Abul, can you hear me?
Yes, I finished. Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, this is clear now.
Hear me?
Yes, doctor. Yeah. I think because
Yeah,
Australia and Gontor is too far, so maybe the frequency also disrupted.
I can't hear anything.
All right. All right.
From your
All right.
I can see you, but I can't really hear much.
Okay.
Now your voice is clear now, Dr. Abul and Dr. Dewi.
Later on, I think later on we'll call to you directly if the moderator doesn't mind, of course.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. I'm happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dewi. I think you can directly contact Dr. Abul, Khair, inshallah. The question, yes. The answer, I think he can answer you properly after this, inshallah. I think this really Gontor, Australia, and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Yeah, very international program, but the technical problem, I think.
This is
Can I make a point? Please email me. It will be easier for. If you want to ask me, please email me. The moderator can give you the email. That will be easier for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abul. Thank you for your response, Dr. Abu Khair. And now we turn to Prof. Hassanuddin. Is it clear, my voice there, Prof. Hassan?
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Hello, Prof. We have three questions from the floor for you. Hello. I've sent the question through WhatsApp to directly private WhatsApp to you, Prof. Hassan. Can you respond for these three questions from the floor? First, from Abdul Aziz, how to pay equal attention to stakeholders? Do they have different needs and perspectives? Second, also from Dr. Dewi, do you think that doing business in Islamic way must be regulated by government? And the third, from Hasinah Putri to Prof. Hassanuddin, what are a great sharing from you? I'm Rosina from UITM Puncak Alam. Due to this current pandemic, which government have to stop most of the sector from being operating, thoroughly, how long will it take for a total economic recovery in the country?
Okay. Hello, Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me? Okay, now I'm using my PA's iPhone.
MashaAllah.
Okay, now I will answer the first question with regard to how to pay equal attention to stakeholders. Okay, the answer is that tutup. Kita punya tutup ni. Okay, you can. No, there is something there. Okay, like I've mentioned to you that the pandemic. Kau ni apa? Okay, the pandemic. Dia ada bangs dari sini. Okay, the.
Head Prof.
Boleh dengar Syarudin,
boleh,
you can hear
it's
me?
very clear. Yeah, clearly.
Okay, fine. To answer this question is that as I've mentioned to you, this pandemic is a very good showcase for us to understand the failure to take into account all stakeholders. The capitalist system of the thing which we embrace have contributed to one of the reasons why we are facing this pandemic, and for ignoring the planet. When we ignore the planet, we were going for a gross domestic product which measures only human capital and which measures only in terms of profits, growth. But it ignore the measurement of the ecology, how much damage we did to the nature. And therefore, all this accumulated into an issue, a problem, whereby we are facing what we are facing today. So if we pay equal attention, the attention which we should pay is not only for profit, for the sake of profit, which we have been doing. And that is what capitalism is all about. The rich become richer, the poor become poorer. The inequality widens. Therefore, the whole system is not inconsistent with what the Islamic teachings are all about. We have failed to embrace with the balance which we have been which have been dictated to us. During the Prophet's time, you can see how balanced he is with the planet, with animals, with all. Rahmatan lil alamin, in the entirety. But the capitalist system have failed. And the pandemic is a good lesson for us. If the Muslim has adopted as what has been taught by the Prophet, you know, even if you are sick, you are not allowed to go to the mosque. Not now. Now only they are saying about those things. But during our time, we were not even allowed. The Prophet says if you are sick, therefore the societal was very important. And then the wudu. How many times a day you are being encouraged to do it in wudu always? That shows cleanliness, hygiene. How many of us have embraced all this? All these have accumulated for us to fail to be immune with what with what have been immune to us by our teaching. So it's not a problem. The stakeholders which we are talking about, the customer or the employee, in Islam is clearly mentioned. How are we going to treat the employee? Today, the foreign employees on our land are being mistreated in this manner. Their housing is so bad. This is anti-Islam, antithesis to Islamic teachings of how to treat the employees. Therefore, we face this problem today. So, as stakeholders, whereby we embrace the Islamic way of doing things in our management and in business, we will be far ahead. But the fear that we will lose out in the measurement of GDP in accordance to the capitalist system, that makes us to forget what we should have been embraced and to do. And therefore, we are facing all these problems. Even the pandemic, the solution is not coming from us. The solution, the vaccine which they are looking for, these are not even the solution from us. Why is it the Muslim world is so behind in such a manner that we cannot be in the forefront addressing that this is the way to solve our problem? So it's not an issue for us to be able to meet all the stakeholders. That is the first question. The second question is, do you think that doing business in Islamic way must be regulated by government? It need not be regulated by government. Empowerment to the people, that is what Islam is all about. The teachings of Islam, whereby when the souk, the bazaar, for example, in the bazaar also is not regulated. Those who come first, they can get the best spot. You see how emancipated it was. How was the emancipation of those things? How was that much freedom was given? So how we are going to be disciplined ourselves? But now, if you are regulated by the government with vested interest, we will not be able to achieve what we need to achieve. But as a Muslim, when we embrace to the teachings of Islam and what we should do, we empathy others. We will not be the forefront, or we will not be the first what we want. In Islam, we were always encouraged to take care of our brothers and sisters. So in business also, it is give and take. It is not greed. But the capitalist system is greed. You are measured by your what you have achieved in dollars and cents. The flow of money become much more important than nature of doing things. So in a way, Islam will be able to, for us to be able to do what we want to do, and we will be able to have a conducive environment for all. But we have failed to embrace and to undertake and to remind each other, Amar Ma'ruf Nahi Munkar, in a way that we should have been doing. If we have done that, today we will be in the pioneer. We will not even have to face this problem of the pandemic, because every bit of the pandemic solution has been told to us by the Prophet, which we did not embrace and we did not do. Therefore, we are faced with the solution coming from the West, the way of physical distancing. Physical distancing, sure, but why should it be social distancing? As if society as a whole is antithesis to us. So these are teachings which we are not embracing, which we didn't go and take it into account seriously. And the last question was with regard to this current pandemic in which government have to stop most of the sectors from operation. So roughly how long will it take? Okay, for example, definitely in this kind of pandemic, government have to play their role, in especially the SOPs and so on and so forth. And people have to embrace and follow suit, because the situation is health. It is not a single sector problem. It is a health problem. It's a public problem. Therefore, this will take some time. The government have to balance between life and livelihood, and this livelihood is opening up of the sectors. But it is not going to be easy. As long as the borders are closed, and until then, I do not think that the growth will be improved. That the borders have to be open, because the tourism sector is very important because of the spin-off effect of all the industries within the tourism industry, the airline, the restaurant, the hotel, all these service industries are clamped down. The goods and services, the manufacturing, and so on and so forth. So for me, I think it will take some time. Even the vaccine, the effectiveness of vaccine has to be shown, that the confidence of the people will be there for them to come out and for them to be able to be transacting in the business. So it will take some time. And all these questions are very important questions for us to ponder. And these are things which we will be always bothering us, because this is until and unless we get the solution. Until unless we can bring back the confidence. But if we have embraced the Islamic way of doing things, inshallah, we will be seeing the solution in accordance to the Islamic way of doing things, and we will be a happy lot today. I think I dah jawab soalan tu. Sorry, Din.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Inshallah.
Yes.
We still have Allah. We still have God. Yeah,
yes,
inshallah.
Sure. Inshallah.
We do not worry about this pandemic. Also, we can challenge this pandemic, as you said, that this pandemic is like a showcase. Yeah, how actually humankind, yeah, to be near to Allah as well as to be kind to ecological and our planet, Prof. Is that correct, Prof?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Now we turn to Dr. Abul. There is a question for you, Dr. Abul.
Yep.
Yeah. The question, yeah. The question for Dr. Abul. Due to the pandemic now, what strategy in Australia to help
Tak boleh, dia tak boleh dua. Faham ke? Yang ini kena cut off. Cut off, habis. Sekarang saya akan pakai ni saja. Kalau tak dia akan dengung.
Can you hear me, Dr. Abul?
Yang ni dah tutup.
No, can you repeat? I did not hear. I started hearing and then something happened. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, the question, what is the strategy in Australia to help small or private industry hold their business in this pandemic era, Prof? Doctor?
Yep, it's a good question. There are a number of packages and help government provided to help the businesses. Some of them I mentioned already. You see, one of them was like a job keeper. So if business cannot generate salary for the people, government will pay. You know, as simple as that. There are things like for the businesses, government will pay you cash flow boost up to 100,000 if your business is up to 500 million, which is a very big business. So government will give you up to 100,000 to help you in this. And these businesses include not-for-profit organizations too. It's not only commercial organization, it is also not-for-profit organizations. And the other thing of government has is, if businesses, eligible businesses, they employ trainees, government pays half of the salary, up to an amount of 21,500 per employees, which is a very big help also. And another important help from the government is the instant asset write-off. You see, businesses, they buy equipments and other capital items, and then they have to wait various years, because in the legislation it will tell you what item you can claim from government for how many years. Some of them it takes 15 years, and that has a threshold. So now this time what government is saying is, up to the value of 150,000, which is a large amount of money. If you purchase an equipment for your business, you can straight away, you can claim from the government through the tax system. So which is a very good, what do you call this, is very good assistance for the businesses. And the other thing is, there are, I will say, huge amount of money available for small businesses to borrow at the rate of 0.2%, which is like a free money. It's like it's free money. So this is available for businesses. So these are the things government is doing for businesses, and that had produced good outcome, and that's why I think Australia is out of recession after 2 consecutive quarters, which was March and June 2020 quarter. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abul, for your response. This question came from our sister Maulida Dwi Anggun, I think. Do you take a point? Get the point, Sister Maulida? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. I think the second question to Dr. Abul. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Australia, like a country with a major minority Muslim there, but you have Australian have 10 Islamic financial industry there. So what do you think, Dr. Abul? Now people think that Islamic economic is the same as a conventional economic. What is your opinion regarding this assumption, Dr. Abul?
Thank you for the questions. And I had that question before too, and I'm happy to answer this. And I think this is a very good question. And then I think we all should have clarification on this. So my answer is, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right, very good, because something happened. So number one, my answer is Islamic economics and Islamic finance is not the same as conventional economics and conventional finance. Okay, I repeat, Islamic finance is not same as conventional finance. Islamic economics not same as conventional economics, because their legislative bases are different. Their laws are different. One is Sharia, coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, through the whole volume and body of knowledge of Sharia, fiqh, muamalat, and so on, and modern scholarly writings. So therefore, Islamic finance and Islamic economics has a whole different basis of existing and whole different basis of operation, whole different basis of reporting, and whole different basis of compliance. So that's why it is not the same. In conventional finance and conventional economics, I am not saying they are not good. I am not saying they cannot satisfy human needs, financial or economic. I'm not saying that. They might be able to, but that is where you can discuss which one is better, which one can do more welfare to humanity. That is a subject of discussion, we can discuss that. But I can tell you this, that if we follow Islamic finance and Islamic economics, that will provide solutions which may not be available in conventional finance. Like just now, Professor Hassanuddeen has alluded to a few of them. Therefore, brothers and sisters, please know that according to, at least according to my view, these two are not same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Abul, for your response. Yeah, I think also this assumption about the Islamic economics and the conventional one is the same. I think this is now we can clearly understand from Dr. Abul comments. Okay, Dr. Abul, we have, I think, one more question for you from our lecturer.
All right.
In UNIDA Gontor, from Dr. Imam Haryadi. Yeah, this pandemic condition really tests our ability to answer the role of government to push more wider participation and partnership of the citizens in producing and consuming the only needed goods. In addition, the government must try to consider more economic policy packages to push a steady economic development. For example, a discount in taxation due to the slower development of economic condition. Now the question from Dr. Imam Haryadi, how was your opinion in this matter, Dr. Abul?
Thank you very much for the question. I think it is long-winded, but I will answer as far as I can. Definitely, as Dr. Hakim, is that Dr. Hakim? Sorry, I forgot. Is that Dr. Hakim?
Yeah. Dr. Imam.
Imam, mashallah, barakallahu feek. Barakallahu, Imam. Definitely, COVID-19 has created challenges, and that also, as you alluded to, has opened opportunities for us. You know, we learn to do things new, I mean, in different way, so that, you know, there could be cost savings, there could be efficiencies, there could be more productivity. One example I give you is this pandemic taught us to work from home. So I also work from home. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I went back full time, but still we are working when we are allowed to work 2 days a week at home. So the thing is, working from home created synergies for businesses as well as for employees. For businesses in Australia, many businesses, they don't have to rent a large amount of building. They don't have to pay a lot of money for accommodation and rent and bills, because some stuff, they are not there, you know. And on the staff side, it provides flexibility. You know, some people, they want to work from home, they can do other things, they can take care of their home affairs and so on. So that is the opportunity is created. And definitely I agree with you, Dr. Imad, that government should facilitate this. Government should be innovative to provide better facilities, as you mentioned one, and also better policies and better avenue to explore things differently, so that both parties, the people and the government, the employer and the employees, the consumers and the business, they can get benefit out of it. There are many avenues. I'm not going into the details, but there are many avenues in businesses too, where we can improve in our processes, so that the both sides can be benefited, and then both sides will be winning, and therefore also both sides will be winning. So now definitely my view is definitely the way you are thinking, that there is a challenge and there are opportunities, and government should come and facilitate that. Government should come and provide more maybe packages or reduction in regulation. Maybe government should enact new laws and new regulation to facilitate these things. So therefore, that will be, this pandemic will be, maybe it will be also a good for us in the hindsight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Abul, for your response. I think we get the point from your response. The government and the society must be collaborate, I think. So the government can be innovative, giving a package to stimulate, I think, yeah, to stimulate the economic activities from the society, yeah. So from this synergizing between two government and the society, the economy could be rise again after this pandemic, I think. This from you, thank you. And I think this the last question for Professor Hassanuddeen. We got two questions. Yeah, I think this is the last two questions for you, Prof. Hassanuddeen. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. The question, Prof. Now people think that Islamic economics is the same as conventional economics. Again, what is your opinion regarding this, Prof?
Okay. This question, you see, you need to understand economics is a behavioral science. When it is a behavioral science, that means more people, the mass, adopting the values of Islamic economic and behaving according to the principle of economic, Islamic economic, then you will see things happening in accordance to our belief system. As I mentioned to you, even this COVID, before the COVID, the Prophet has already told us, these are all the Islamic ways of doing things. Islam is not only for ritual, as I mentioned, it's a way of life. But did we adopt it? So economics is also the same. You know how the limited resources and unlimited ones. What Islam says about this? These are the foundation basis of the Western economic thought. When you talk about Adam Smith in the first instance, his is already on moral treatise. Ibn Khaldun also mentioned about all this. But later, what actually happened to economics, the conventional economics and so on and so forth, a lot of things which they are talking about is not practically during this pandemic has shown that it is of no, not being able to address and solve the problem. But still, the capitalist system of economic, that is where the conventional economic, the new con and so on and so forth are showing. But the masses are indoctrinated to behave in that manner. That is the reason why we see that the conventional economy is still in a way getting things, behaving for us, the needs which we are going through, the ones we are, the selling, the buying, the markets, the institution, all reflective of that. Even when you talk about financialization today, when the real economy is no more of importance, they talk about the financial economy. And then they rationalize why financialization is okay, is good. But in actual fact, how come the Wall Street, which is so speculative in nature, can overtake the Main Street, which is the manufacturing, the agriculture, and so on and so forth? Where are the importance to this now? The importance are not there. So the most important thing for the Islamic economy is the applied Islamic economic have to come forward. The development of economics, for example, Islamic development economic has to come forward. Not to say that the Maqasid of Sharia, we addresses the need for livelihood, the need for life, the need for deen, for religion, and the institution which we have. But the institution which we build also not in accordance to the indoctrination of what Islam wants from us, but it is reflective of what the West. Even to solve the poverty problem, we are looking for solution elsewhere, not within our religion. In our religion, all those Islamic social finance, which is the infaq, the sedekah, the wakaf, I also need to give credit to Gontor, which is a reflection of the wakaf system. And therefore, you can see How much you can be affected by pandemic? You are all self-employed. You do not rely on the banking sector. You do not have issues. Because why? Because the real true partnership, empathy of others, how should be people paid, all are in accordance to Islamic teaching. When the thing is in the mess, the herd mentality of everybody going forward, then we will see that how much we can see the beauty of Islam and how and what it is going to be. But as what also I mentioned by Dr. Abul is true. The thing here is like Islamic finance. We have the solution, but where is the political will for us to go for it? Because in that Islamic finance or whatever, the most important thing would be how we want to share risk, not shift risk like the banking sector. Today, even in the pandemic, where people are not being able to pay their dues, all right, they are postponing it, but then they are compounding it. They are making it longer. People are much more indebted. They are not relieving them of the debt. Why? Because this is a capitalist system based on the indebtedness, not based on equity and equality. That is how we should go forward. So to answer the Islamic economic and conventional economic, true, what we see seems not to be like what it is not working, but in actual fact, it is us which will have to make it such that all the government, all the stakeholders will play in accordance to what has been commanded by the Islamic principles and Islamic norms. Apa soalan nombor 2 tu?
Okay, the second
Satu soalan
question,
aja.
Prof. Yeah, I think this is the last question. Due to pandemic, what is the strategy in Malaysia to help small or private industry hold their business, Prof?
Okay, in Malaysia, there ada banyaklah a lot of scheme like the Perhatian scheme, for the individual. Like today also, they have already started to give out for the individual family members, the youth, and so on and so forth. Even though that amount is not that big, but they are giving cash handouts. And also for businesses, they are already providing some tax relief. And for the wage subsidy, that means they do not want the company to retrench the workers. So all these are in accordance to what the pandemic needs are. But the government today shouldn't be worried about this deficit. They should be much more benevolent to address the needs of the people. And rather than they become pro-corporate and try to salvage the corporation at the expense of the individual who are suffering. The most important aspect here is we need the SMEs, we need the corporation, and the government should come in and provide the necessary support system. That is the reasons why governments are to facilitate. Today, they have to facilitate in accordance to the needs of what is actually happening. These are not normal times. But if they fail to address it today, then we will see much more problem in the future. Like, for example, the foreign workers home, hostels and dormitories. It is clear-cut, whereby until today, some of the employers are not addressing the issues. And therefore, this pandemic is still a problem. And we need to understand, you like it or not, they are part and parcel of the society they are living in. So we will be affected if they are also not be taken care of. So this pandemic is a good lesson for us to go back to the Islamic norms and values which have been taught and told to us by the Prophet. They seem to be very simple, like washing your hand before you eat and so on and so forth. You just imagine today that are the solution which they are proposing. And we are adopting it because it's coming from the West. Whereas our Prophet has already taught us how to live a good life and to a good hygienic life. Therefore, I think Islam is the way for us to go about doing things. And this pandemic has showed it clearly that hopefully we will be able to imbue in ourselves and behave in accordance to what have been our teachings in our religion. Okay, Dr. Shahruddin, I hand it back to you. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Prof. Hassanuddin. I think your last word is very important for us. Yeah, we should go back to our Islamic teachings and values, so we can straightforward, we can fight this pandemic area, so we can survive not only in economic, but also survive in our iman and our health, inshallah. So with this good iman and good health, this pandemic will be gone, inshallah, and Allah will guide us in everything and everywhere. Thank you again to Dr. Abul from Australia. Inshallah, this pandemic, you there in Australia, virtual. Inshallah, after pandemic, you can came here to UNIDA Gontor. Most welcome for you, Dr. Abul, as well as Prof. Hassanuddin has been here in UNIDA Gontor. Thank you again for you both, Prof. Hassanuddin and Dr. Abul, for your sharing and disseminating your knowledge about this Islamic finance and economic toward pandemic in this International FEMFEST 4.0 2021, University of Darussalam Gontor. Now time I've given to Master of Ceremony. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Brother Sarudi.
Thank you, brothers.
Now, it is the most waited moment. The announcement for the winner of each competition, ISO and Entrepreneur Days.
Winner Business Model Canvas Competition Sekolah Tinggi Agama Islam At-Tanwir, Bojonegoro. And the first winner Business Model Canvas Competition and the best presentation Business Model Canvas Competition Entrepreneur Days Faculty of Economics and Management Festival 2021 Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. The winner of Festival Keilmuan Competition at Entrepreneur Days, Faculty of Economics and Management Festival 2021. The second winner of Festival Keilmuan Competition, Institut Teknologi Bandung. And the first winner, Festival Keilmuan Competition, Institut Teknologi Bandung. The winner of International Business Case Competition at Entrepreneur Days, Faculty of Economics and Management Festival 2021. The third winner of International Business Case Competition, Universitas Islam Indonesia. The second winner, International Business Case Competition, Universitas Pajajaran Bandung. And the first winner, International Business Case Competition, Institut Teknologi Bandung. The winner of International Debate Competition at ISCO Islamic Economics Competition, Faculty of Economics and Management Festival 2021. The third winner of International Debate Competition, Universitas Lampung B. The second winner International Debate Competition, Universitas Lampung A. And the first winner International Debate Competition, International Islamic University of Malaysia. The winner of International Videography Competition at ISCO Islamic Economic Competition, Faculty of Economics and Management Festival 2021. The third winner of International Videography Competition, Universitas Darussalam Gontor, Kampus Mantingan. The second winner International Videography Competition, Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Ekonomi Darun Najah Business School. And the first winner International Videography Competition, Universitas Islam Sultan Syarif Ali, Brunei Darussalam. The winner of International Research Paper Competition at ISCO Islamic Economics Competition, Faculty of Economics and Management Festival 2021. The third winner of International Research Paper Competition, International Islamic University of Malaysia. The second winner International Research Paper Competition, Universitas Gajah Mada. And the first winner International Research Paper Competition, Universitas Jember. The winner of National Battle of Wits Competition at ISCO Islamic Economics Competition, Faculty of Economics and Management Festival 2021. The third winner of National Battle of Wits Competition, Universitas Brawijaya. The second winner of National Battle of Wits Competition, Universitas Gajah Mada. And the first winner of National Battle of Wits Competition, Libya Jakarta.
Okay. What's the next step? The closing statement for the series of FEMFEST 4.0 by Dean of Faculty of Economics and Management, Dr. Hartumi Maulana M.Ed. Pin. Dear Father, please welcome.
The Excellency of the President, University of Darussalam Gontor, the Honorable our Rector, University of Darussalam Gontor, Professor Dr. Hamid Fahmy Zarkasyi, the Honorable of our speaker today, Professor Dr. Hassanuddeen Abdul Aziz, the Dean of Kulliyah of Economics and Management Sciences, International Islamic University Malaysia, the Honorable Dr. Abul Khair Jalaluddin, Director, Islamic Financial Service Council of Australia, ladies and gentlemen, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, finally, we come to end of our program, Fakultas Ekonomi and Management Festival 4.0 2021. Started from the opening on Monday, the international webinar, then followed by many activities, including training of trainers, Islamic economics competitions, and Islamic and entrepreneur days competition, product and food exhibition, and extra. Now we almost completed by international webinar, and inshallah tonight will be ended by Fakultas Economic and Management Awards. All of efforts today are expected to be beneficial to the society. We have appreciated the engagement of the participants of the seminar, participant of the GOT, and participant of the competition, making the program more lively and successfully. Let me express my attitude to the presidents, to our rectors, to the speakers, Professor Hassanuddeen and Dr. Abdul Khair, and also the last Monday speakers, Professor Irwandi, also our keynote speaker in the last seminar, Dr. Peri Warjio, Governor Bank Indonesia, and also thanks also to our partner in the occasions, including from the OJK, DSN MUI, Bank Indonesia, Connect, Bursa Efek Indonesia, and Aludi. Lastly, we would like to thanks to the committee, the lecturer, and all staff, all academic staff, University of Darussalam Gontor. You all have contributed in the program. Let's pray. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala bless all of us. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hamdan yuafi ni'amah wa yukafi masyidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu wa lakal syukru kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhika wa 'azimi sultanik. Allahumma shalli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Rabbana ighfir lana wa la ikhwanina Rabbana ikhwana alladziina sabaquna bil imani wa la taj'al fi qulubina lil ladziina amanu rabbana innaka ra'ufur rahim. Allahumma la tusig qulubana ba'da idh hadaytana wa hab lana min ladunka rahmatan innaka antal wahhab. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamatan fid dini wa dunya wal akhirah, afiyatan fi jasadi wa sihhatan fi badani wa siyadatan fi ilmi wa barakatan fi rizqi wa tawbatan qabla al maut wa rahmatan indal maut wa maghfiratan ba'dal maut. Allahumma hawin alaina fi sakaratil maut wa najita minal afa indal hisab. Rabbana hab lana min aswajina wa dzurriyyatina qurrata a'yuni waj'alna lil muttaqina imamah. Rabbana dolamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim wa tub alaina innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Salamun ala mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. I think once again, I'd like to congratulate to the winners of the competitions, and that's all from us. More and less, I will apologize on behalf of the committee, Fakultas Ekonomi and Management 4.0 2020. We'd like to express our apologies. Bila taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you to Father speech and for pray. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after this we have a taking picture together. We expect to all audiences to turn on the camera. Okay, please turn on your camera. Okay, ready together? 1, 2, 3. Okay, once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the last. 1, 2, Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah, we have arrived at the end of the event. Thank you very much to the informant, the moderator, and the participants who had been listening to the show from the first until the end. Hopefully, a lot of knowledge will be gained to be applied in everyday life. Let's close our today's agenda by reciting Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Kafaratul majlis. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. See you in the FEMFEST 5.0. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.